Don't worry, after a couple of days of disappointment, you can see my beautiful face again. I hope, unless something's gone wrong again. In which case, you can't. And I should probably redo this intro. Hello and welcome to part 183 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have 2 Premier League matches over the Christmas period. Happy Christmas, everybody. Is that what people say? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Season's greetings. It's Boxing Day. And we're at home against Manchester City and away against Newcastle. Since you were last with me, we've had a lovely run of form until we went to Norwich. How many lovely runs have ended when you've gone to Norwich? Look at this one. It was particularly ridiculous. We beat Ajax 6-0 with just such a rotated team. Svetic, have you met him yet? You probably haven't. Juranovic, Hervé, Aleph, Hughes Mason, don't know who he is, don't blame you, came for our youth team. Unbelievably, didn't get claimed by anyone on Patreon, so the Patreon lot really need to get a little bit sharper picking their players who are any good, because this lad has got 4-star potential ability and might actually get a few more games. But started for us in the Champions League. Torres playing in midfield. Cirillo, Mendes, Diarra and Mercier up front. That team beat Ajax 6-0 in the Champions League. But then somehow we managed to field a much stronger team, go to Norwich and lose 3-1 away. So we were top of the league. We're not quite top of the league anymore. This is what the league table now looks like. We're in 3rd place. Manchester City are top. If we beat them in this first game, we go back above them and hopefully go back to the top of the league. But it looks like there's a little breakaway group of 4 starting to appear. Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea and us. Starting to take a much more familiar feel, this Premier League, now we've got 20 years into the future. Although Norwich, I'm feeling less upset about them beating us as they're pushing for a Champions League qualification spot of their own. The other thing that's worth mentioning is Jean-Michel Mendes, the guy who replaced Manu, is starting to really come into some form. 3 goals from 5 starts now, an assist as well, a man of the match performance, averaging over a 7. Mendes is looking like he's going to be the real deal. But just in case he's not, I've spent £30 million on a new wonderkid attacking midfielder who's going to be joining us in January. Lamine Dramé is a French under-21 international, so same as Mendes, competing for spots in that French team. He's been on loan at West Brom from Monaco for the first half of this season and has got 5 goals from 18 starts in the Premier League already. He's already nearly as good as Robert Costa, potentially, and has huge potential to improve. So he's going to be coming in as another 18-year-old wonder kid who'll become homegrown. We've got a bunch more that we're trying to bring in as well, so we might have some news of a few more in the next episode. Particularly want this guy, but as you can see, so does everyone else in European football. So it's going to be a little bit of a battle to get Georgi Joksimovic a right back, but we'll try and win that battle and bring him in as well. These youngsters from Partizan always turn out quite good as well. Another one, Arsene Diaby, who is wanted by just about everybody. I can't click on it properly. There you go. Lots of the big clubs in for him as well. So there's a few of these who look like they could be a little bit special, and they're all young enough to become homegrown as well, which is splendid. Well, let's not worry about transfers for today. That's not what today's episode is about. Today's episode is about beating Manchester City and returning to the top of the Premier League. And the team we're putting out there to try and do that is this one. We've got Powell in goal. By the way, Saidi, finally on the transfer list. At his own request, admittedly, because he asked for a run in the team and I said no for the first time. Usually I say yes and then we bring him in. I've finally decided Powell is my first choice keeper. In fact, a few people have said, Kev, why don't you just go out and sign a 4-star goalkeeper and stop this nonsense about Powell and Saidi? Here's my answer to that question. Let's just clear this. Pick goalkeepers. So the really top goalkeepers are ridiculous. I mean, Arango, annoyingly, is the one we decided not to get when we signed Powell and he went to Bournemouth. But even looking at him, he's not much better than Powell, and he'd cost us £119 million. This guy, who's at Paris Saint-Germain, is just not for sale. There's no way we're getting him. He's the best goalkeeper in the world. But the next best one, there's an argument, it could be Powell. Dickman, we've looked at before. I thought, oh, that'd be awesome, bringing Dickman in. But not as good as Powell. And he's the 4th best goalkeeper I can find on my scout reports. So I don't think there is such a thing as there's one proper 4-star keeper, two, I guess, if you include Arango, but I'm not spending £120 million on a goalkeeper who's only a little bit better than the one we've already got, who we could have signed for much less than that before he went to Bournemouth. How long's he been at Bournemouth now? Yeah, we could have got him for £40 million when he was at Leicester. So we chose Powell at the time. I stand by choosing Powell. He's been the World Cup's best goalkeeper. But the point is, there isn't necessarily a much better goalkeeper. And there's not necessarily a superstar wonder kid coming through either, who's going to be the next best thing. I guess this guy could be him, Hugo Pedro, at Schalke. But again, he's going to cost us over £100 million, and there's no guarantees that... I mean, we did this already with Saidi. Spent a lot of money on a goalkeeper with huge potential, and now he's on our transfer list. So, yeah, goalkeeper isn't an easy position to fix. So Powell is our first choice goalkeeper now. We're going to get rid of Saidi, and McLean can just be our backup goalkeeper. Where is he? McLean, who is 20 now, and he's good enough to be our backup keeper. He can sit on our bench and should be homegrown as well at this point, I think, which is extra splendid. And then we're going with Candemil, Beron, Hervé and Meyer. Cristiano and Zupancic in midfield, Cerelio, Costa and Thor behind Mira. Thor is on the shortlist for World Player of the Year. We're having to play him out in the right wing, though, because despite it probably being the position other than striker where we have the most strength in depth, both Goff and Flager injured at the same time, so neither of them able to play. Thor has played the last couple of games on the right wing as an inside forward and looks quite good at it. I like the fact we've got two inside forwards in this team now. It basically turns into a 4-3-3 almost, with Cerelio and Thor pushed right up alongside Mira and Costa pulling the strings behind them. It's a joy to behold, and we're about to behold it. So let's hit the continue button a couple of times, get through to the match, and hopefully see an inside forward masterclass from Cerelio and Thor that then makes me question whether or not to bring my superstar wingers back into the team when the time comes. A few familiar faces in this Manchester City team, from those of you who've been following the England series. Obviously, Williams scored the greatest own goal of all time. They've got Nix and Shaw in midfield. North playing as an attacking midfielder. Interesting, because I've never played him there, but he's still playing there for Manchester City. So that's an option for England if we decide to go to the 4-2-3-1. Right, have we got an avenging one, or did we beat them last time? There you go. You can go top of the table. I expect nothing less. We'll go with that one. And I'm sort of keeping half an eye on my England players as well, because we've had a few rough matches with England. If you've not been watching the England series, you should probably go and check out the last couple of episodes, because it's got interesting in it's got really challenging way. We've won the World Cup and then everything's fallen apart, and it's largely responsible for a lot of these players in this Manchester City side. So I'm hoping they don't feel like they've got a point to prove today. Oh, look at that from Zupancic. That's incredible. And Thor with the goal. Zupancic, people questioned when I spent £80 million on Zupancic, forgetting that he was only 21 at the time and he had the potential to get better and better. And here you go. Here's your first glimpse of just how good Zupancic could end up being when he hits his mid-20s, because he's still not there. Also an argument that his future might be on the wing. We've played him there a few times, and the way he's drifted past players there, that was stunning. But lovely, lovely assist from Zupancic. Puts us top of the league as things stand. Obviously, Manchester United, if they win their game, will stay above us. So it looks like they're not playing today. So a win here does put us top of the league today, which would be lovely. Cerelio's picked up an injury. I know he picked it up early on, and people think I don't notice. I noticed. I was talking about other things. It wasn't worthy of conversation at the time. But I think we probably will take him off maybe at half time. I'm almost tempted to stick Zupancic out there because he looks like he's in the mood for some dribbling today. But we've got Torres down there on the bench, and Torres is a natural inside forward on that left-hand side. So he makes a lot more sense to come on and just keep the system exactly as it is, because obviously it's been working. So let's get Cerelio off. Torres on. I thought he was a natural inside forward. I mean, he's not really natural at anything. He wants to play deep. He ain't playing deep. Right, Torres is on. And we go into the second half, 1-0 up, hoping to extend our score. Is that a football term? There you go. There's some real football terminology for you. We're going into this half trying to extend our score. It's good old football speak. You hear that on the terraces all the time. Beron with the ball forward to Mira. Mira's got in behind here, and it's Mira, and it's straight at the City goalkeeper. But it's a lovely ball over the top from Beron, and Mira's an enigma, because his position familiarity thing tells me his best position is advanced forward, which is also the case for Thor and Mercier. Candemill with the get out of jail free card for Powell there. So I'm playing him as an advanced forward today, and he's not really performing. As a complete forward, he's apparently not as comfortable doing it. I'm going to switch him to it now for 10 minutes. But you've seen how much better he plays as a complete forward. But Thor doesn't. Thor only really performs as an advanced forward, where if you look at their attributes, which I know I don't do often, but I do with Thor, Thor looks like he should be the perfect complete forward, but just can't play there. I don't understand. I'm Football Manager baffling me once again. But City looking to build an attack through the midfield there, but Mayer's done brilliantly. He plays it forward to Mira, and he's got players up supporting him. He doesn't need them, because when Mira is playing as a complete forward, he suddenly becomes the best striker in the world. And I don't know why he can't do it playing in the position he's supposed to be natural in. It's absolutely baffling. But this is when we've seen Mira have a better chance than this earlier in the match that he scuffed. But from there, he's got no right to score from there. He's got a player closing him down in front, a player coming in from the side. He's gone to the near post that the goalkeeper's got covered, and he's hit it on the foot. I mean, it is his strongest foot, his left foot, but you would expect a right-footed shot from that angle. He's got no right to score from there. Thor plays Mira in. In fact, Mira not quite awake to it this time, and it's gone all the way back to Powell, and Powell finds Hervé. Hervé picks out Cristiano across to Beron. We're knocking the ball around nicely here. I like it. First look at Torres of the game. Little pass into Mira, and he's got Thor there trying to support him. Thor was actually a little bit too far away to be an effective partner there. It's almost as if someone had stuck him out on the wing, whereas he would have been much better alongside Mira. What a save from Powell. There you go. He just needed the confidence boost of being told he was our number one keeper. That's what he has for England, and he plays well for England. Right, we're going to bring Mendes on for Costa in the hopes that Mendes continues his good form, because I don't want to bin Mendes off when Drame comes in. I want both of them to get game time and really push Costa hard for that position. I want Costa to be our third choice attacking midfielder inside 2 years, because he's the best one in the world at the moment. And that, I mean, we've got two superb ones coming through our own young, can't really say youth setup. We spent £50 million on the two of them combined, but they'll both be considered homegrown because we like to game the system. All these homegrown players and no Englishmen. We've got Powell. Mira trying to get in behind again now. We seem to... Oh! An absolute baffling piece of goalkeeping there, and Mira manages to miss two excellent opportunities. But Mira, it's almost as if we've, as the game's gone on, just decided to try and knock the ball over the top for him to chase, which, I mean, it is quite effective. He is quick. He is good at it. But we've got so much quality behind him that it does seem a little bit wasteful not to play it through the likes of Mendes and Thor and Costa when he was on. And here is Thor out on the right hand side. Cross comes over towards Mira, ends up with Yamin. Yamin back to Thor. Thor with a cross with his other foot this time, and it's Torres, and it's straight at the keeper. Man City have never looked like being in this game, by the way. I don't really understand how this is the same home team that lost against Norwich when we've absolutely dominated Manchester City there. It's hard to believe, as we approach the halfway point of the season, we're only 1 point better than Manchester City, because we looked on a different level to them there. But hopefully that's just because we've decided to up our game for the second half of the season. Let's go and play Newcastle. They all come home. Welcome home, Lyric. Right, shuffling things around a little bit for the Newcastle game. Goff comes back into the team, fit enough to play-ish. Flager is sat down on the bench to come on if Goff can't make it through the whole game. And there's probably an argument for them to play half a game each, or maybe 60 minutes for Goff and then Flager to come on. Sorelio is now going to be injured for the next couple of weeks, so we switch things around. Mira drops out to the wing as an inside forward on the left-hand side. Thor moves from the right-hand side to play up top. The other change, Alith coming in for Candemill, who, I don't know if you noticed just how shattered Candemill was at the end of that last match. I know a few people are going to be saying, Kev, where's Lee? Where's Lee? Lee is off at the Asian Cup with South Korea. He hasn't had his national service call-up, thankfully. And I am hopeful that if South Korea can win the Asian Cup, that means he doesn't have to be called up for national service. Is that right? I've heard stories like that in real life. So I'm hoping that's what happens with Lee. 25 years old now, and obviously I would argue probably the best centre-back in the world. But we're going to be without him for most of January while he's off playing for South Korea. Luckily, Hervé, Beron, they're very good players. They'll be all right without him. Let's get into the match. Other news, which is potentially exciting news. Remember, I was going to be going and signing Djuric, or trying to sign Djuric, in January, and then we found Diallo, and I thought, is it Diallo or Diarra? D something. The young winger, who I haven't forgotten about while all this is going on. There you go. I want you to pick up where you left off last time. He needs time. He's still only a 2-star current ability player at the moment. It'll take him a little while. But we were going to go and bring in Djuric, and I kind of put it on the back burner, but went and had a look at him anyway, thinking the board have just given me an extra £20 million to spend, which they have because they're mental, despite us being in debt. I could bring him in as well, and it won't hurt. He's a good player. He's out of contract at the end of the season, so rather than trying to bring him in now, I've just offered him a contract. So I am hopeful, cross fingers, we might be bringing Djuric in for free in the summer, which would be an incredible signing to have lined up 6 months in advance, because he was superb for us last year. He would give us another world-class option on that left-hand side, Cirillo and Djuric on one side, Goff and Flager on the other side, and we have got some real top-quality wingers at our disposal there. And Thor has just... How is this even going over the little telly? I was going to say, this was just a great piece of football. Mira comes inside, cuts it out to Aleph. It's a lovely pass from Mira to Aleph. Lovely cross. And Thor with a precision header. And that's what I mean about how you would think Thor is a prototype complete striker. Because he's a big lad, good in the air, lightning quick. He can do everything you would want a striker to be able to do. Ask him to play complete forward, he doesn't perform. Stick him on advance forward, he does stuff like that. They're both confusing. We've got two of the best strikers in the world, and they're both fussy. They want to be able to play this position that's not quite their best one, and then they give their best games. It's very, very odd. Newcastle have immediately replied though, and I don't think there's necessarily anyone who needs to be at fault here. The argument I would make is probably it wouldn't have happened if Lee was playing, because the initial header there, Lee would have had that covered. That was Hervé who perhaps let the initial flick on happen where Lee wouldn't. But after that, it was just a good piece of football from Newcastle. There doesn't always have to be some blame, but obviously we do want to beat this team. We've just been absolutely superb against Manchester City. Let's not go and ruin it against Newcastle. Thor's in behind again, tries to be cheeky. I don't think he's got cheeky in him. So he can do everything you'd want a striker to do apart from deft little flicks over the goalkeeper. He's Thor. He should... Are you ready for it? You've been waiting 5 episodes for this. He's Thor. He should have hammered it. Mira's just scored a lovely header from a corner though. Kind of stealing my pun's thunder. Hey, there you go. We rescued it with a double accidental pun. Marvellous stuff. And it's a lovely header for Mira as well. And it's 2-1 to home on the 35-minute mark. But we're straight back up for a potential immediate reply from Newcastle again. But Powell keeps hold of it and plays it out to Beron, who's got Aleph available ahead of him. And we should be able to build something rather splendid from here. Aleph trying to play... I don't even know who that would be. Mira on that left-hand side, I guess. But Mira is just hovering in field the whole time. He's supposed to be playing as a winger. He is just playing as a second striker. And it's a lovely pass from Mira to Thor. And here's your argument against signing Djuric. Because Mira is looking very, very dangerous playing as an inside forward on this left-hand side. And it's a way to get Mira and Thor playing together. It didn't work as well in that last match with Thor wide and Mira in the middle. But Mira's got the absolute superstar quality to be able to make playing on the left wing look good. Look at the state of them two, playing like a proper strike partnership today. Costa now with the free kick, it's over to Goff, and Goff heads just over. Goff, another one like Thor, who's just an absolute giant. We've got some big lads available from these set pieces now, in positions certainly on the right wing where you wouldn't necessarily expect them to be. But Goff is a giant, and we've seen him score lots of headers before. Right, we're winning. Don't let performances drop. We need to keep an eye on John Goff's fitness levels. We have got Flager on the bench, but Flager is even less fit than Goff is. But I think the hour mark is probably a sensible point to change them over, because Goff is starting to tire. Flager not even close to match fit. He's been out a lot longer than Goff has, but neither of them needed a fitness test apparently. So theoretically, they shouldn't be at risk of injury. We just need to get them back up to match fitness and match speed. Oh, what a save from Powell again. I tell you what, I've criticised Powell a few times, you may have noticed, over the last 20 episodes or so. But since making him Holmes #1, he's starting to look like a very good goalkeeper. Perhaps we shouldn't have spent the last 3 years messing around between him and Saidi. Whose idea was that? Mayer now with the cross. Thor was there looking for his hat-trick, but it hits the outside of the post, and we are going to make that change on the right-hand side, and it's Flager coming on for Goff. We're going to change. We're going to bring Mendes on for Costa as well. I know it's a little bit early to make that change, but Costa just starting to tire, and I am eager to get as much game time into Mendes as possible before Drame arrives, because I want Drame to... I know we're spending £30 million on him, and he's played 20 Premier League games this year. I want him to have to force his way into the team now. I don't just want to drop Mendes off the bench and forget he exists. I want Mendes to make it impossible for me to do that. Right, there's not really another change I need to make at the moment, so I'm sat there looking at that screen waiting for something to happen. I guess Torres could come on in midfield for Cristiano. We've seen him play there against Ajax and it was very effective. Mendes looking for Mira with the cross, but we've actually got ourselves caught a little bit stretched here, but Beron with a lovely slide tackle, and it's back with Beron again to Aleph, and they've just given everyone time to find their positions again. Mira's come very deep to offer some support and an option to Aleph, and there is Mira again, but he's lost the ball right on the halfway line, and we're under a little bit of pressure here because of Mira's faffing about. So perhaps we don't want him coming too deep to offer support if he's not able to do it effectively, the silly goose. Right, Newcastle with a corner. Newcastle have put up much more of a fight than Manchester City did. Mendes heads clear to Thor, and Thor now just chasing into the Newcastle half. He's got no one up with him. In fact, he has. That's Flager in the middle, who had charged up. For a man who's not match fit, Flager made up some ground there. And now we are going to make that change. Cristiano off, Torres on. We've played Torres in midfield a couple of times before, so we know he can do it. It's not ideal, but I think he should be all right for 10 minutes when we're 2-0 up. In fact, on that note, let's just drop a little bit of praise, because it has been a good performance. Thor has been exceptional as this lone striker, and Mira's done all right supporting him as well. So who needs Juric? We need Juric, and hopefully I'll be announcing the signing of him in the next episode, because the other thing is we did it with Xavi Rodriguez a few years ago. Once we've got him agreed to come in at the end of the season, there's a chance we might be able to complete the deal early for a steal and bring him in towards the end of January anyway, if we've got money to spare. I think we got Rodriguez for about £1 million just by bringing him in January after a summer deal had already been arranged. It's like a compensation payment at that point, I think. Why is that gone down as Thor's goal? I'm pretty sure Hervé just scored. It's gone down as Thor, though. Let's look at it from the other angle. So it's Flager with the corner, and it's Beron, Torres, Hervé. That is absolutely Hervé's goal. And it's been recorded there as Hervé's goal, but it showed up there as Thor. That was weird. It's a lovely finish from Hervé. And it's Newcastle 1, Home 4. The scoreline is a little bit unfair on Newcastle, actually, because, like I said, they put up much more of a fight than Manchester City did. I've clicked the wrong button there and stressed Aleph out. Never mind. He'll be all right. He's a big, strong boy. Right, that is your lot for today. We will be back tomorrow for the end of this transfer window, where hopefully we'll be announcing Juric. But at the very least, you get to see Drame, and then we'll be back for the first leg of the knockout rounds of the Champions League, which is against Schalke, who, bringing the episode full circle, that means we get to have a look at Hugo Pedro in the flesh and decide if he's worth spending £100 million on. So that'll be a little bit of a scouting exercise in tomorrow's video. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.